In Odisha, India, the 13th century Konark Sun Temple stands as a colossal stone chariot, defined by thousands of intricate carvings and 24 massive wheels. Most visitors walk these grounds focusing on the artistic beauty or the immense manual labor required to shape this much rock. But the mathematical precision of these patterns indicates a functional purpose that goes beyond religious symbolism. The temple operates as a massive instrument of calculation, using the sun's movement to drive a solar tracking system built directly into its walls. To understand the site, we have to look past the artistry and reverse engineer the building as a piece of precision machinery, zooming from the scale of the planet down to a single second. At the macro level, the entire architectural footprint is oriented on a strict east-west axis. This orientation dictates how the building interacts with the sun during the spring and autumn equinoxes. As this architectural layout shows, on the morning of an equinox, the first ray of dawn travels perfectly through the entrance, cutting across the central axis to illuminate the inner sanctum. By forcing the light to travel this exact path, the layout serves as a solar calendar, physically recording the Earth's orbit around the sun. Moving to the sides of the chariot base, 24 carved stone wheels flank the structure. These act as the gears of the machine, with each wheel representing a specific segment of a 24-hour day. This view shows the primary mathematics. Notice the central hub and 8 thick spokes. These major spokes divide the day into 8 3-hour intervals, known as prahars. Between them, thinner minor spokes subdivide those blocks into 90-minute windows. The daily rotation of the planet is compressed into the physical geometry of these stone dials. To find the most exact measurements, we look at the central axle and the thousands of tiny, repetitive bead carvings lining the outer rim. Operating the clock requires a user to place a finger or a stylus perfectly flat against that central hub. As demonstrated here, the sun catches the edge of that stylus, casting a sharp shadow across the rim. As the shadow moves across the carved beads, it calculates the time down to the minute and second, calibrated to the sun's specific latitude. The builders translated abstract celestial mechanics into a physical tool that remains accurate today. Looking at the entire temple again, we can see how the mechanical logic of the wheels integrates with the structure of the building. In the 13th century, science, art, and worship were not separate disciplines. They were unified into a single worldview. The engineers weren't merely observing the cosmos, they were actively capturing its mathematics within their architecture. They created a massive, silent machine that has tracked the sun for 8 centuries without a single moving part. Konark is the physical manifestation of mathematical certainty, a piece of technology that continues to function, challenging our understanding of medieval engineering.
Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we are going to unlock one of the absolute most awe-inspiring mysteries of the ancient world. We're heading to the coastline of Odisha, India, to look at the 13th century Konark Sun Temple. You know, when we look at ancient structures, it's so easy to just categorize them as, well, beautiful ruins, right? Or incredible artistic achievements, or historic places of worship. And I mean, think about the era for a second. There's no heavy machinery, no electricity, zero digital computers. It's just sheer human willpower carving thousands of tons of rock entirely by hand to honor their deities. But what if I told you that this incredible monument is so much more than just a temple? What if it's actually a piece of highly advanced, interactive technology, just hiding right out in the open? Okay, let's dive into this. Did ancient India actually build an astronomical supercomputer? I know, it sounds totally like science fiction, right? But to truly understand this site, we have to completely reframe how we look at it. The Konark Sun Temple isn't just a beautifully carved building. As we unpack the evidence in this explainer, you're going to see that it is fundamentally a highly sophisticated scientific instrument, and it's engineered with a level of precision that absolutely boggles the mind. 800. I want you to keep that number in the back of your mind throughout our whole journey today. This structure is an 800-year-old stone clock. It was built way back in the 13th century, which is long before the scientific revolution, long before anyone even thought of a mechanical pendulum. Yet the engineers and astronomers of that time managed to design a massive stone mechanism that possesses pinpoint astronomical precision. I mean, they didn't have digital sensors, they didn't have modern telescopes or satellite data, but using just their naked eyes, some seriously advanced mathematics, and a profound understanding of the cosmos, they created a machine out of solid rock that tracks time and solar movement flawlessly. It kind of completely challenges everything we assume about the technological capabilities of the ancient world.
Section 1. The cosmic chariot wheels. Let's look at the macro mechanism.
To really grasp how this works on a macro scale, you have to picture the architecture of the entire temple complex. The whole thing is built to resemble a massive cosmic chariot, literally designed to carry Surya, the sun god, across the heavens. And forming the base of this breathtaking chariot are 24 massive, intricately carved stone wheels. Just imagine the sheer manpower required for this, quarrying these gigantic blocks, transporting them, hoisting them up, and then carving them with such delicate precision. Each one of these wheels is nearly 10 feet across. But here's the absolute critical part. These aren't just decorative elements slapped onto the side of a building to look pretty. No, they are the primary dials of this ancient machine. They're essential cogs in a massive architectural clock.
So how do massive wheels function as precise dials? Well, to get that, we need to define a specific unit of time the ancient builders used, which is called the prahar. Basically, a prahar is a 3-hour interval of time used to divide the day. In this ancient system, a standard 24-hour day is broken up into exactly 8 prahars. This right here is the foundational math for how the engineers broke down the rotation of the Earth and mapped it directly onto these massive stone wheels. It's just a brilliant way of taking a continuous, overwhelming cosmic event, the rotation of our entire planet, and breaking it down into a manageable, mathematically perfect human scale.
Look really closely at the spokes on these wheels. The design is a meticulously divided timeline. You've got these 8 major spokes that map perfectly to the 8 prahars we just talked about, representing those 3-hour intervals making up a full day-night cycle. But they didn't stop there. They needed more granularity, right? So nestled exactly between the major ones are 8 minor spokes, and those break the 3-hour intervals perfectly in half, dividing the day down into 90-minute segments. The geometry of this carving is quite literally functioning as a clock face, baked right into the structural support of the temple. The artwork isn't just symbolic, it's heavily mathematically functional.
Section 2. Calculating down to the second.
Now, what's really interesting about this micro-precision is how you actually use it. If you were an ancient astronomer, here is the exact interactive procedure you'd follow. Step 1. You take your finger, or maybe a long stylus, and you place it directly on the central hub, the axle of the wheel. Step 2. You look at the shadow that gets cast outward by your finger onto the outer rim. Step 3. You observe the intricate bead carvings lining that rim. The shadow falls perfectly across those beads, allowing you to read not just the hour, but the exact minutes and seconds. You're physically interacting with the architecture to complete a circuit of information. It is literally the 13th century version of tapping a smartwatch, except it's made of solid rock and relies entirely on the sun. And this is where the whole thing goes from just brilliant to absolutely awe-inspiring. This shadow reading, it isn't some rough ballpark estimate. It calculates time to the exact minute and second, specifically because it is calibrated to the sun's exact angle at Konark's unique latitude. Seriously, if you were to pick up this exact wheel, keep it totally intact, and move it just 100 miles to the north or south, it would completely stop telling the correct time. The engineers had to perfectly understand the local solar physics and carve the stone so the angle of the shadow would flawlessly align with the beads at that exact geographic location on the globe. It's a location-specific masterwork of astronomy. Section 3. The equinox solar alignment. Let's zoom all the way out from the wheels for a second and look at the entire architectural layout, because this sets up the ultimate cosmic reveal. The whole temple features an absolutely perfect east-west axis alignment. And this was designed intentionally so that twice a year, specifically on the spring equinox and the autumn equinox, something spectacular happens. The temple's axis allows the very first ray of dawn light to shoot directly through the grand entrance doorway, traveling completely unobstructed through the structure to perfectly illuminate the inner sanctum. I mean, think about the architectural mastery required to build massive stone corridors that align so perfectly with the horizon that a single beam of light can travel their entire length on only 2 specific mornings a year. And this brilliantly illustrates what makes the Konark Sun Temple so legendary. You literally have solar physics locked into solid stone. Think about the incredible juxtaposition here. They took the heaviest, most unyielding material available, massive, heavy blocks of rock, and they used it to track the delicate, silent, constantly moving light of the sun with atomic, clock-like precision. It is the ultimate marriage of raw earth and celestial movement.
So that leaves us with a pretty provocative thought. If ancient builders could lock solar physics into solid stone exactly 800 years ago, flawlessly tracking minutes, seconds, and equinoxes, what other ancient engineering wonders are just hiding in plain sight, waiting for us to figure out how to read them? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning.